Hello and welcome to day 31 of revising UPSC previous year question for UPSC 2027. In this video, I will cover the second last, that is the seventh essay of the year 2025. And after that, only one essay will be remaining, and we are done with 2025 essay. So let's get started. One more thing in this video, that since we are in practice, so you will see these kind of headings and flowchart, might be flowchart in the essay, but whenever you write the essay, whether in mock or in real, you need not to write these headings. You just start with the paragraph and then continue it in paragraphs only. But because we are in practice, so you will see these headings. Okay, let's get started. It is best to see life as a journey, not as a destination. In the spring of 1930, a frail 61-year-old man set out from Sabarmati Ashram with 78 companions, embarking on a 240-mile trek toward the coastal village of Dandi. To a mind fixated solely on the destination, the objective of the march was exceedingly modest. Picking up a pinch of natural salt from the shores of Arabian Sea, had Mahatma Gandhi viewed life and political action merely through the narrow prism of the final arrival, he might have chosen a faster mode of transport or sought an immediate transactional compromise with British Raj. Yet the true genius of Dandi Salt March lay not in the physical act of reaching the coast, but in transformative 24-day journey itself. As the marchers walked from village to village, thousands joined the procession. Local officials resigned in solidarity. Rural consciousness was awakened, and the moral foundation of colonial rule was irrevocably shaken. The journey was not a passive passage of time between point A and B. It was the active, living embodiment of Satyagraha. The process itself was the victory. This historic pilgrimage illustrates a profound philosophical truth. It is best to see life as a journey, not as a destination. Human existence is inherently dynamic, continuous, and evolutionary. When life is reduced to a fixed destination, a specific status, a career milestone, a financial target, or a political endpoint, it traps the human spirit in a state of perpetual postponement where the present moment is sacrificed for an illusionary future arrival. Conversely, viewing life as a journey elevates process over product, character over accomplishment, and continuous learning over static achievement. This paragraph will definitely apply on every aspirant from here. When the present moment is sacrificed for an illusionary future arrival, we are also read it from here again. When life is reduced to a fixed destination, a specific status, career milestone, financial target, or a political endpoint, it traps the human spirit in a state of perpetual postponement, where the present moment is sacrificed for an illusionary future arrival. It means what we also do like that. Then whenever we will select it, we will do this, we will do that. We are focusing on the end destination rather than studying or practicing every day. Anyway, the central thesis of this essay is that while destinations provide directional orientation, it is the journey that cultivates character, fosters resilience, nurtures relationships, and drive meaningful societal progress. A fulfilling human life and a resilient society are built not by obsessing over the arrival, but by honoring the ethical, intellectual, and spiritual quality of path we walk. Philosophically, the conflict between viewing life as a journey versus a destination reflects the ancient tension between teleological obsession and process oriented consciousness. The destination oriented mindset is rooted in an extreme teleology, the belief that the value of an action resides exclusively in its final outcomes. This perspective leads to what modern psychologists call the arrival fallacy, the mistaken belief that reaching a particular goal will yield permanent happiness and emotional fulfillment. This as well. In contrast, classical Indian philosophy offers a profound counter narrative through a concept of Nishkama Karma in the Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna instructs Arjun, Karmanya vadhikaraste ma paleshu kadachana. You have a right to action alone, never to its fruits. This is not a call to goal-less apathy, but a radical affirmation of the journey. When an individual frees themselves from anxiety over the destination, the fruit, they bring total mindfulness, integrity, and excellence to the immediate step, the action. The path itself becomes sacred. Similarly, in Western philosophical thought, the Stoic tradition, exemplified by Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, emphasized that humans have control only over their internal character and immediate actions, not over external outcomes. In his letter, in his letters from a Stoic, Seneca warned that he who spends his life preparing for a distant future loses the capacity to live in the present. When life is viewed as a destination, the present moment is reduced to a mere instrument, a tax paid to reach an expected future. When viewed as a journey, every step possesses intrinsic value. The journey transforms time from a linear clock measuring distance from a goal into a canvas of experimental richness and moral growth. Psychologically, how an individual perceives the arc of their life dictates their emotional resilience, self worth, and capacity for growth. A destination obsessed mindset fosters a fragile ego, vulnerable to what Carol Dweck termed a fixed mindset. For the destination focused individual, failure along the way is perceived as a total invalidation of the self because the outcome is the sole metric of success. Conversely, perceiving life as a journey cultivates a growth mindset. Failures, detours, and setbacks are no longer catastrophic dead ends. They are essential lessons incorporated into the narrative of self-development. The journey paradigm recognizes that human character is not forged at the finish line but in the steep, rugged climbs that precede it. Consider the biological evolution of life itself. Nature does not design an organism for a single static destination. Life on Earth is a 3.8 billion year journey of continuous adaptation, mutation, and environmental interplay. Human intelligence, emotional depth, and moral consciousness did not emerge from a fixed design blueprint but from the messy non-linear journey of evolutionary survival. When applied to personal development, the journey perspective liberates individuals from the tyranny of comparison. In a world dominated by social media and curated finish lines, young minds are increasingly pressured to showcase immediate destinations, high salaries, prestige, and material markers of success. This destination pressure this destination pressure breeds unprecedented anxiety, depression, and burnout. Reclaiming the idea of life as a journey restores joy to the learning process, allowing individuals to embrace their unique pace, stumble without shame, and savor the gradual unfolding of their potential. History and freedom movements process as the soul of struggle. When we examine the sweep of human history, the most enduring social transformations have been driven by leaders and movements that prioritized the ethical quality of journey over immediate opportunistic outcomes. During the Indian freedom struggle, a fundamental debate arose between different streams of political thought. While some argued that freedom, Swaraj, was a destination to be reached by any means necessary, Mahatma Gandhi maintained that the means and the ends were dialectically linked, like the seed and the tree. To Gandhi, Swaraj was not merely the political destination of replacing British administrators with Indian ones. It was an internal and societal journey of moral purification, communal harmony, economic self-reliance, and the eradication of untouchability. Had the Indian national movement treated independence as a mere destination, it might have succumbed to violent shortcuts or majoritarian consolidation. By treating the freedom struggle as an ethical journey, the movement nurtured a culture of non-violence, democratic deliberation, and constitutionalism that allowed post-independence India to survive as a vibrant democracy when dozens of other newly independent post-colonial nations collapsed into dictatorship. Similarly, the civil rights movements in the United States, led by Martin Luther King Jr., drew its moral authority from the journey of non-violent resistance. When King declared, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice," he articulating a journey based worldwide. The ultimate destination, complete racial equality, was distant, but the daily march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma was the living demonstration of human dignity. The march itself transformed the moral conscience of a nation. In the realm of governance and public policy, the distinction between journey and destination marks the difference between populist short-sightedness and sustainable nation building. Destination-driven governance is characterized by hyperfixation on immediate visible targets, a form of policy short-termism. Policy short-termism. It seeks rapid headline grabbing. It seeks rapid headline grabbing results, launching immediate subsidies without building underlying productive capacity or constructing physical assets without investing in maintenance and institutional capacity. When public administration focuses solely on the destination, example, meeting numeric expenditure targets by fiscal year end, it often results in poor asset quality, systemic corruption, and target manipulation, a phenomena known as Goodhart's law. On the other hand, journey-oriented governance focuses on building robust, transparent, and participatory processes. It recognizes that true development, as articulated by Amartya Sen in Development as Freedom, is not an absolute destination measured purely by GDP growth, but a continuous process of expanding human capabilities, freedom, and choices. For instance, India's adoption of the 73rd and 74th constitutional amendments in 1992 was an investment in the democratic journey. Decentralization through Panchayati Raj institutions did not promise an oversight elimination of rural poverty. Rather, it created a local institutional journey through which rural citizens, women, Article 243D, and marginalized communities could gradually exercise democratic agency and direct their own development. Similarly, long-term environmental governance by cannot managed cannot be managed as a static destination. The global battle against climate change, guided by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and IPCC frameworks, requires countries to embrace a continuous journey of energy transition, circular economy adoption, and ecological stewardship. A nation that views sustainability as a continuous administrative culture rather than a one-time international compliance target builds true climate resilience. In the domain of science, technology, and intellectual inquiry, viewing life and work as a journey is the very engine of discovery. Science is, by definition, an open-ended journey without a final, unassailable destination. When Thomas Edison was attempting to develop the incandescent light bulb, he famously conducted thousands of unsuccessful experiments. When asked about his repeated failures, Edison remarked that he had not failed thousands of times, rather, he had successfully discovered thousands of ways how not to make a light bulb. For Edison, scientific inquiry was an incremental journey of empirical elimination. Had he been paralyzed by a destination or nothing mindset, he would have abandoned the effort long before the breakthrough. The history of scientific revolution shows that major advancements occur when researchers embrace the unexpected detours of their journey. Alexander Fleming did not set out with a pre-planned destination to discover penicillin. He was engaged in routine microbiological research when he noticed a contaminated petri dish where mold was hollowed by bacteria-free space. Curiosity born of honoring the journey yielded the world's first life-saving antibiotic. Furthermore, in our modern era of artificial intelligence, space exploration, and biotechnology, an overemphasis on rapid technological destinations without ethical contemplation poses immense risk. The development of powerful technologies must be accompanied by an ongoing ethical journey, ensuring algorithmic fairness, data privacy, and bioethical guardrails. The scientific process must remain a responsible human journey, not a reckless race to a technological frontier. The crisis of global environmental degradation offers perhaps the starkest warning against humanity's obsession with artificial destinations. For over 2 centuries, industrial civilization has operated under a destination obsessed economic model. Relentless economic expansion measured by linear quarterly growth and resource exploitation. Humanity treated the earth as a static supply house and a waste dump to fuel its consumption destination. In doing so, we ignored the natural cyclical journey of the planet, the carbon cycle, the hydrological cycle, ocean current, and biodiversity webs. The conscious the consequences of this short-sightedness are now visible in accelerating glacial retreat, extreme weather events, and mass species extinctions. Restoring planetary balance requires aligning human economic activity with nature's journey. This is the core ethos of initiatives like Mission Life, Lifestyle for Environment, introduced by India on the global stage. Mission Life advocates shifting from mindless consumption to an intentional daily journey of eco-consciousness, of eco-conscious choices, reducing waste, conserving water, and reusing resources. True ecological wisdom recognizes that human beings are not the ultimate dominant destination of planetary evolution, but merely fellow travelers walking alongside millions of species within a delicate interconnected biosphere. To fully observe the wisdom of seeing life as a journey, one must avoid the trap of complete goallessness. To reject destination entirely would be to drift aimlessly without purpose or discipline. A ship sailing without a compass or a destination port is at the mercy of every passing wave. Therefore, the ideal philosophy of life is one of harmonized integration. Destinations provide the vector, but the journey provides the value. Goals, ambitions, and destinations are necessary coordinate points on a map. They give us direction, spark initial motivation, and help us structure our effort and help us structure our efforts. However, once the direction is set, our consciousness must shift fully to the quality of the journey. In personal relationships, this truth is self-evident. A marriage or a friendship built solely around achieving milestones, buying a house, raising children, achieving social status, often turns hollow once those destinations are reached. The lasting strength of human relationships lies in the shared daily journey, mutual empathy, quiet conversations, overcoming shared hardships, and growing together over decades. In civil service and public leadership, An officer must set ambitious institutional targets such as 100% rural literacy, universal healthcare access, or zero corruption. Yet the moral integrity of that officer is judged by how they treat citizens during the daily journey. Their empathy at the desk, their adherence to constitutional morality, and their refusal to compromise on fundamental rights for quick administrative shortcuts. As we stand in the opening decades of the 21st century, human civilization moves at a speed unprecedented in history. Hyperconnectivity, rapid urbanization, and relentless digital feedback loops constantly push us to hurry toward the next notification, the next promotion, the next milestone, and the next destination. We have become a culture of hyper efficient travelers who have forgotten how to appreciate the landscape through which we travel. Reclaiming life as a journey is therefore a vital act of human reclamation. It invites us to slow down, breathe, and recognize that the richness of life is not waiting for us at some distant final line. It is present here in this hour, in the work we do with care, in the relationships we nurture with love, and in the moral choices we make when no one is watching. When the great poet T.S. Eliot wrote in four quatrains, he captured the ultimate circular wisdom of human exploration. Quart, it is four quartets, not quatrains. Four quartets. We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. The destination in the end brings us back to an appreciation of the beginning, and it is the journey between them that transform our understanding. Let us therefore set let us therefore set out sights on noble horizon, but let us walk the path with patience, integrity, and joy. For in the final ledger of human existence, we will not be measured merely by the summits we reached, but by the grace, courage, and humanity with which we climbed.